Hello, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that bit of footage in last week's video. We got the Train Collectors Society show, and I mentioned we'd have a look over some of the items that I came away with. So I've got a pile of items there and some on the floor which we can't see. So we'll have a look at those in a moment. We'll just follow this Dublo train around, which is rapidly picking up speed. I think we will take just a little bit of power out of that. And we've got the diesel running there in the background as well. Let's just follow this again. I've just adjusted the speed downwards. So once it gets a little bit of warmth in the motor, I think it begins to charge away. You can hear the diesel rumbling around in the background there. Let's watch it come around this pile of items. There we go. It's going to go, it's running on the outside line, so that's going under the elevated track there. And there's a box of bits over there as well we'll have a glance at in a moment. So I think we'll grab the controls. Oh, I've got a Class 31 here. Somebody mentioned they'd like to see one of my Class 31s in action on the railway again, so we've got one of those out. We'll just have a quick look at that as well. Now, I did manage to go to the other railway exhibition in Heaton here yesterday on the, I think it was the 8th, on the losing track. Yeah, today's the 9th, so yesterday was the 8th. Good afternoon there. Sadly, it wasn't very well attended, which is quite disappointing to see not many people there, but I don't know whether people are just too busy to go to these things. So quite a few children there with their parents, but you know, it was really easy to find a parking space, and that meant there were not many people actually in the show itself. All right, here we can hear that diesel rumbling around in the background, that slight ringing sound that comes from these Dublo bodies once they're underway. I think we'll park this one under the window. By these telegraph poles. I did come away with some more telegraph poles, but they're not the Triang ones or the Hornby Dublo ones. I think they're Merit, but we'll have a look at those. They are in a Triang box though. So let's grab the controls for the two rail. Let's quickly pick this up, and we'll go and pick up these coaches from this siding here. We'll have a quick run with those before we look at the goodies. So I'll give this a little bit of power. This is an unboxed one I think it has got embellishments on it. Somebody's used the silver paint to improve the model in the past. The roof has definitely seen sort of probably better days. So we'll bring this round to the point here. I think I'm going to tidy up the point behind me before I forget about it. So let me just change that one. And then we'll just run to this side, and we'll go, get hold of the right switch there. We'll make that one curved so we can just run around the inner loop here. Let's have a quick look at it. So I think there is some additional silver paint. I don't think originally it had these picked out in silver. I might be wrong, but it's not a bad one. And a little bit of yellowing. I don't know whether you can see that or whether it bleaches out a bit. These white roofs tend to really reflect the light in this room. So let's give this a bit more power. And we'll trundle along here and collect these coaches, which aren't in the best place, coupling on coming out of the curve there. Let's see if we've got that. I think I'm going to intervene here and just make sure that this hook is going to hook in rather than cause it to derail. Actually, I'm going to... Yeah, I'm making a real mess of this. We haven't got much further back to go there. I'm going to grab the uncoupler, because I think what will happen is that hook's on the outside of the coupling there. I don't know whether we can see that. So as it comes around the curve, it's going to possibly derail it. Let's get that there. Making a real mess of this. Right, we're going to start from scratch here. We'll just pull that one away. I'm going to pull that one in there. Make sure the bogey's on, because I've knocked that off. See, playing with toy trains. There, so we've got both hooks in place now. rather than one hanging off down the side. Risk of derailment. Let's grab the controls. We'll stand back, look at that move out of the siding. I think I've got a couple of brakes and a pair of sleepers on here. Roof definitely stands out quite nicely, doesn't it? We'll draw that into the station. I'll close that point. There we go. Let's we'll close that one there. There we go. And let's just set this off and running. So only 2 pickups on this, so it can be a little bit lumpy over these points with the large plastic frogs. So there we've got, actually we'll start there, we'll have a look there, we've got the brake. Now that one doesn't have the class line along the top of the windows at the back. And a couple of sleepers, I'll put some numbers in the bottom of the screen there, and that one has the first class line there, I think that represents. Nice wobble on all of those really, isn't there? I've taken items out of boxes to make it much simpler to have a look at. So see, there's a few items. Now some of these I'd arranged to pick up from Dave Angel, who was at the show with a trade stand already. If you have a look at the insert picture there, there's a wonderful amount of items to look through. And I bought from a number of other individual vendors there as well on the day. So I thought these were quite nice. These came from Dave. These aren't the Triangle Young and Frog ones. These are Hong Kong made by I think Blue Box. So I can't remember the date associated with these, and I don't know whether they made the entire range of them. So they're made out of a lightweight plastic sort of moulding rather than the rubber, which is very heavy. So I've got the haystack there. I can't remember the names of the buildings now. I think this is possibly a forge. The forge. Let's see if I can turn that one around again. And have a look. You can see they're sort of semi-transparent. The plastic, very, very lightweight. And oddly enough, the model rail show I went to yesterday in Heaton, and the Heaton Park Academy, I think it is. There we go. We've got what's that say? Blue Box there. And at Heaton Park Academy yesterday afternoon, I had a chat with Triang Man, who had a stall there, and he had a handful of these as well. So they obviously there's a few of them around at the moment. But let's just have a look at this one. Is this a farm building? I'll put the odd date in at the bottom, although I don't know the dates of these at all. But for the other items we'll look at, but we'll just concentrate on having a look at the fun of looking at these items instead of sort of worrying about when they were made and so on. I don't think they're as nicely decorated as the Triang variants, but I think that's really nice, isn't that? Sort of flight of steps there, and the door at the top. So quite lovely items. So let's leave those to one side. And now I mentioned the telegraph poles. I've been on the lookout for some telegraph poles for ages. This isn't telegraph poles box. This is a box that should have track in it, but I think there's 6. I think these are Merit, or the name that escapes me now that Merit was before Merit. They were marketing as Merit. Let's have a look in there. Is that J&LR Limited, made in England? So I think they were Merit or became Merit. I'm not sure which way around. I think that item is possibly still in production as well. So there's 6 of those, and I think we'll get those in over there. They look quite nice. But let's just pop these. Well, we'll just stand a couple over there while we're playing with them. But the box is quite nice. You know, we like the odd box here and there. Let's pop those down there for now. It's got this wonderful sort of Harrods. There's a Harrods sticker on there, and some pricing. Sort of quite difficult to read at this distance. I think we would have had some possibly. Is that Series 3 track in there? So, well, actually, it's easier to read on that end there. I can't read from this distance. Is that 12R196s? So they're the sort of short sections of large radius. Anyway, we'll leave that to one side. And there's a handful of interesting little bits and pieces here as well. I've got a motor, which I bought sort of not knowing whether it ran or not, but I thought that was quite good. It does actually run quite nicely, so having a spare one of those, even if it didn't run, the price of a set of brushes for a motor like this it's worth taking a risk there. And then some ladders. I think they're off the tanks. Have I got one? No, I haven't got one. I have got a tank over there, but I think this is off the milk tanker. So a set of steps for there. And some valve gear. Let's have a look here. There we go. Early Princess valve gear. And it's not complete, but part of it. Nice plain stuff. I really like that. So having some spares of that is good. And some spare ladders. Now I have got a wagon which needs some spare ladders. If you have a look at the insert picture there, ladder, sorry, so I've been on the lookout for some of those for a while. I have some scrap wagons with ladders on them, but I've used them up on other things since I got that particular wagon. So I've got another well wagon here, quite cute in this box. Let's have a look. The box was part of it for this purchase, I think, but it's in fairly nice condition, the box and the item. Let's have a look. Although I think the wheels, as usual with a lot of these things, do need a bit of a clean. They are sort of fairly, sticky. They're sticky to the touch, never mind stuck together. So got a number there, 43171. So just pop that down. And a couple of Dublo items there. Now, definitely a bit of an extravagance, this one, but it's in the repro box, and it's not perfect. It does have part of the coupling, the descender, the part that sticks down that makes the uncoupler work, is missing. I think they've probably been cut off because they do get in the way. So I think these are quite interesting looking items. I've resisted buying these because they're fairly stiff pricing on these particular models. So it would be nice to have a maroon one as well. So maybe one day, but I've looked at those for a long time and thought, should I, shouldn't I? And on this occasion I did. So this is quite cute as well. I haven't got one of these. Although I think in the footage we saw of the show, and have a look in the insert picture there if I'm correct, I had one of these running on the Dublo layout. So this one's in lovely condition. It's just starting to go on the roof. Let's have a look at the box. Let's see if we can pop that down over there. And have a look at the box. The box is interesting. It's been printed sort of off-centre. See how the label, it's got a packing ring in there. See how the label's sort of off. It's been stamped out of the card, possibly incorrectly. The same on both ends. There we go. Made in England by Meccano Limited. Actually, let's just have a look at the repro box of this coach. Is it Cooper's Trains? Whoops, I'm going to break that signal there if I'm not careful. Did I knock that? No. I'll try and be careful of that. Yeah, so that's a repro box. Printed in England, Tony Cooper in 1984. So I think it has the relevant info on it, but a later edition. So for those who haven't got the correct boxes. So what else have we got here? Let's have a look there. Now sleeper, maroon sleeper. Now I've got a number of those on the railway already, and I think I was commenting the other day that the one I had on there didn't have any BR roundels on there, and here's another one. This is quite an early one. I think when they first came along they might not have had the roundel on, so that one has definitely never seen one applied to that. I don't think we can see the marking for it there, but early because we've got the sleeved wheels on it, but very shiny as well. So maybe we'll get that on the rails with the other maroons I've got over there. I've got some sleepers on there already with the Class 37. Maybe we'll have a look at that running in a moment. And another one of these. Now, I got one of these last time I was at the show. Quite an early one with the big steps, but the one I got last time was missing a step, unfortunately. But this one, it's not missing steps, but the printing on both almost vanished on both sides. It's very, very fragile. but the rest of it's intact. I'm hoping that at some point in the future, those people who produce water slide transfers will get around to making some of the transfers for these in water slide rather than solid coloured back things. Would be really useful to, tidy up some models, not necessarily pass them off as originals, but it'd be nice to tidy some of these early ones up. And another couple of closed vans with GW on, nice colours. So I think obviously we've got the acetate plastic at play there. Relatively early chassis on that one. So quite interesting numbers. I've got a handful of these now. I think I probably showed some of these last time I'd been to the show. But again, slightly later chassis on that one, slightly later coupling, very, very curly roof. But I quite like these, especially when they're different colours, different numbers and so on. So a group of items here. So I think these are non-printed things, but this is probably the wrong container on the wrong wagon. So these were from starter sets with the non-printed, but that's not a non-printed wagon. So I think the deck's away on that one, is it? Oh, it was falling off in my hand earlier, but that's how it should be, I think. So we've got these two. So I already got one of these just like this. I think we had it on the railway a short time ago. So there's no printing on the sides of the brown wagon there. It just says made in England on the bottom. These are using starter sets throughout the late 60s and into the early 70s, I think. So we put that down. And there's another item from a starter set here as well. So we've got the brick wagon. So again, non-printed. So I think it's later brick wagons, either the London brick possibly had a black base on it as well, painted up black. But I think that's from a starter set as well. We've got made in England. We're going to have it the wrong way up, aren't we? Yeah, made in England there. You've got the pinpoint wheels, very fragile. So I'll pop that down. Now this coach, I last Train Collectors Society show, I'd seen some of these coaches in very poor condition and passed by them. And very short while later, I wished I'd bought them. So this is in poor condition. Now, having seen them before at the show earlier in the year, I went ahead and bought from Derek Bond one of these. In fact, I've got another one of these kits for a conversion as well. But this one I'm going to do on there for the kitchen car conversion. So I bought this from Derek last show and then went back to where I'd seen a pair of poor condition coaches under a stall, and they'd gone. And I've been on the lookout for some donor coaches ever since, but finally found one. And I have to keep my eyes out for another one, so we'll give that a go at some point. I'm not sure I'm going to get into painting silver roofs and things like that, but we'll save that for another day. Another great item here. So we've got a box of the central platform units. There we go. So they're I've got on my trying station over there, but they're not the early ones which are made out of acetate. But these are straight. They're sort of semi clipped together. They can be quite fragile. There's a trade box of them. This one, these came from Dave. So what we are, 63 there, made in England. They're quite dusty. So there's a trade box of them there. I couldn't resist those. So we'll leave those for another day. And then some more wagons down here, more closed wagons. So some of these have boxes. Again, early chassis on this one. Nice crude printing. Let's turn that one over and have a look in there. It's all looking quite nice, as you'd expect for this period in time. They're never going to be sort of true. You know, there's always going to be some warping, and I think if you collect these things, that is just part of it. I know people say, oh, it's a shame about the warping, but it's a different sort of reason for collecting, to be honest. Let's pop that down there. And the box has sort of made it a little way through the time, hasn't it? So it's a Richmond box. Oh, we've got that sort of slightly yellowish, and some of the later boxes have a white panel there, and I think that's printed out in white, in a slight yellow tint on there, the numbers of the items which could be included in one of these boxes. So there's another closed van. So this one comes as a fish van, but it looks more like a closed van. It could be in the wrong box, of course. But then this one, whoops, there's a fish van. What have we got, that one? Yeah, so that's R14, that is the fish van box. I've just lost the roof for that one. Let's turn that one up that way. Then bendy roofs. You get the general idea. Again, earlier chassis on there. All quite nice. So we'll pop that down. So that's got a grey roof, and the other one, whether we call it fish van or not, what do we have on the box there? Yeah, it says fish van, but we just got what looks like a closed van, very similar. Well, very similar to that one there. Same number, is that the same number? Looks like it could be the same number. There's very, very smudgy printing, isn't it? Very crude, but anyway, I quite like those. Again, just interesting items, and this one gets the prize for a really curly roof. Look at that. That's quite something, isn't it? I think somebody has been at the glue on this one to put the base back on. But again, interesting number on there as well. The rust creeping into those clip-on running boards. But I think maybe we'll have a video shortly with some of the different variations of these I've got. Could be a dull video, but I quite like these items. Let's have a look there. R16 brake van, very thick sellotape. The price there scribbled in there, 4 and 8. So pop that down there. And then this item, this was on Dave's stall throughout the day, and I saw it early on thinking, no, I won't get it because I have a handful of these already. And then at the end of the day it was still there, so I thought I would have it. So it's in relatively nice condition. So I think these have a mechanism in them from the push and go range. So I'll just pop that down there. Pick up the box. Whoops. Get that the right way up. We're going to get some focus on there. There we go. I think the other end might be easier to read. Let's have a look at the other end. Oh, nearly. Bogie well wagon with crane load. I can't see I can't read the number. Is it 218? Again, we'll stick some details below. Yeah, so I've got a number of different. I think I showed. Did I get one from the local model railway show at Christmas last year? I think. Or was that a tank load? It's all sort of blurring into one. So I've got a handful of wagons here, which are just quite cute items. Just nice to have multiples of these in a fairly nice condition. We're going to have a long cable drawn wagon train fairly soon. I think we're getting quite a few of those in. And that's just another one of those, but not really missing any corners. A bit grubby, and spoked wheels. Just quite nice to have another one of those. I keep telling myself I'm not going to get any more Hornby Dublo 2-rail items, but yeah, I succumb to this one. It runs. It's in reasonable condition, so I think this is very similar in moulding or casting to the one we were just looking at running, although this one has a slot in either end for a name board to go in, but this has been a 2-rail model. We are short of traction tyres and a coupling on one end, so I need to source a coupling and a traction tyre. Let's pop that down there and we can have a look at the box. And I've got the name board here as well. So I think that has, is it Royal Scot? So that would just clip into the front. And I think they made paper labels to go on your coaches as well, so you could name your train. So there's not a great deal on the inside of this box. If you have a look at the insert picture there, you can see the locomotive within it. It's got the cardboard insert, but no paperwork. But maybe we'll get that onto the Series 3. Or make mincemeat of the points. Very, very heavy work on the points. And this, I absolutely love this. Let's have a look at the end of the box here. There we go, electric loco. If you have a look at the insert picture there, you can see that on the rolling road. And I think we'll try and get that on the railway with a handful of these sort of early wagons. Let's have a look at it. Couldn't tell you whether this is original paper or not. I'm not going to manhandle it out of the box at present because it's acetate and it's fairly fragile. There we go. But it's in quite nice condition. But, and it does sort of run. I'm not going to over clean it either. So we'll aim to get that on the rails here. These boxes open the other way around instead of end flaps. You know, the top of the box comes off. I think it talks about a suppressor being fitted there. So I thought those were, there you go, it's got that rubber stamping on there, television suppressor. So I thought, lovely item. Unsure of the dating on that. So I was quite pleased with that lot. And then I did also pick up this box of bits from a Dublo station. This came from Dave. And it's not that I really wanted another station, but I thought we'd have the canopy on the station we've got here. So if I rejig this, I can put, it had been in my mind to find a spare canopy, another set, so we can have a double canopy there. So, but rather than put it in straight away, I thought I want to take this one out and clean it because it's got very dusty and it needs just a good clean, to be honest. So let's just have a look in the box. There's a couple of other bits in there. I think there's a couple of broken signals. You know, I think it makes up the basic station. I think there's some windows missing, as there often is with these things. Let's see if is it windows or doors. Clock's definitely missing and it hasn't been assembled correctly. But maybe with another layout we can have an even more impressive station building with two buildings, but I don't have the space. I don't think there's a broken signal. Another broken and well painted signal there. So we just put that down there. Oh yeah, there's another one of those there, look. A plate layers hut, I think you call those. So I've got a handful of those on the railway already. There's one there. So we'll find a place for that to live a bit later on. I'll put a handful of those closed vans on there with the Ginty. We'll just give that a little power and give it the run round. So I don't think it's ever going to be a terribly wonderful runner, but it does run reasonably nicely. Makes a different noise going forwards and backwards. Let's just run this round to the station here. Probably smooth out a bit with a little bit of persistent running, perhaps. I think we'll just go the once more round with that. A little bit more friction now. None of these wheels have been especially cleaned up, so it's a bit more of a heavy load than you might think with this. We could get the wheels a little bit nicer. We could sort of clean up the wheels. It sounds slightly different going backwards, so let's just run that for, ooh, a little bit of a stall in the start there. But not entirely a surprise. So I think we'll just run this back to the station here. Let's have a look over the top there. I think that coupling might be about to break loose there between the locomotive and the fish fan. Let's hope it holds on there, and we'll separate the train in the siding here. There we go. Let's just grab the uncoupler for a moment. We'll have a swift look at the locomotive. So let's see if I can undo this one sufficiently. There we go. Yeah, so the wheels are a little bit sort of grimy, and they would run a lot freer if we clean those up. Let's just pick this one off here gently, and we'll take it over here. so we're not going to drop it. Have a quick look at the underside there. Try not to get this camera too close. But as acetate models go, it's not too bad. I think if you think back to the footage I showed last week of the show, I showed another very early Ginty, but I think that had a different colour. I can't remember I think the colour and the weight of the number on the coal bunker there is slightly different from memory. But I had considered that one, but you can't have them all. You can have a good go, but you don't really need them all. Let's pop this one back over here. We'll just pop that there for a second. Let's just give that a little power, see if that'll run off again. There we go. I'm quite pleased with that, but I don't think it's really a long-term runner, but it's just one of those great items for the collection. Now, we're much later in the day since I shot the other stuff. I'm just going to close those points because we're going to do something else in a moment just to finish off with. We'll do that there, so that we should get the this locomotive now running. So I'll just run that back around here, and I have moved the Class 37 over there because I think the sleeper train, which I was talking about earlier, really needs the Princess Royal. I think it'll look very impressive with that, so we'll just set that up in a moment. So we could end up with the 2 sleeper trains running here on the railway. We'll stop that there. Now, let's just pan around here for a second. So when I had that group of items out before, I had a couple of items I forgot. This one was in plain sight. So as a battery controller, and it's got the sort of battery caps for screwing down. I don't know whether they would have come with a controller or not. This will go in a set. I've got a set. If you look at the insert picture there, it's missing from the set. So I was quite pleased to get that. And then another Dublo dinky truck here. Look at that, sort of articulated truck. I thought that was quite nice. Let's see if I can separate that one. There we go. Again, let's just have a look underneath there. What does it say? It's Dublo dinky toy, Bedford articulated flat truck, Meccano Limited. Hopefully I'm keeping focus on there, made in England. There's great tyres on there. Let's have a look at the truck. Lovely yellow that, isn't it? It's really gorgeous. When I'd seen that, I thought that would go nicely. But I think these items here, these might sit really nicely on that load, mightn't they? So I think we'll move those crates from the station, and we'll have them with that truck. I was rather pleased with that. Right, let's get the telegraph poles. Put the telegraph poles in here. Yeah, I think as I counted before, I needed 7 really to look the part in there. I just need the 1 more. Anyway, I'm sure more telegraph poles will show up before too long. And one of the buildings, yeah, where are we? We put the building over here. We've got 1 building there. No particular reason. I thought it looked pretty good there for now. And then I'll put a building and a haystack over there just by the footbridge. Right. Let me see if I can get the Princess Royal. So if I change the points, yes, I've got those points set there. I've got the uncoupling ramp in the right direction. Let's just roll that forward. I was hoping to have it. There, I've got it. No, I haven't got it. Let's go backwards. There we go. I was hoping to have enough of a stop rolling forwards where the coaches would have rolled with momentum, and then we would have, the uncoupler would have popped up by itself. Let's go straight with that one. And then we'll back that up. There we go. get that one underway. I have to say, even without magnet adhesion, that is relatively effortless there. So we've got the solid wheels plain valve gear on this Princess Royal. Actually, no, we haven't got the solid wheels on this one. I'm going to stop it now and have a look, because I can't remember. I've picked up the wrong control, hoping to stop that. I think we'll bring it round the other side. We'll just stop it there and have a quick look at it. I can't remember now. I was just emailing somebody about these this morning. No, so this one's got see-through wheels and fluted valve gear, and it's got the black cylinder blocks. I was getting confused. So the earlier one with the solid wheels I have has the red cylinder blocks and the quite smart looking plain valve gear. So let me just roll that forward again, and we'll have a quick look at the coaches there. So the one next to the locomotive, the sleeper closest to the locomotive, shall we say, because they've got full parcels there as well, is the one we just put on. So I noticed that one doesn't have the... Actually, we're looking down the other side of it. Let's just whip that off and have a quick look. Because we're not in a hurry, I don't think, are we? Possibly. Video getting on a bit now. So I'm not in a hurry this evening. We're now Sunday evening. It's the results show from the dancing programme. Not really my thing. So my wife will be watching that for the next, I think, is it 45 minutes, an hour? Yeah, that's the one we just had a look at. So that's got the sleeved wheels on it. And again, if those were, you can see all the fluff and the hair all over the couplings in this one. So with a bit of attention, that will run quite a bit smoother. And then the other one here, the other two, I think one is a CKD kit. And last time I ran it some time ago, I think David Atkins spotted that it's got two different sides on it, and I hadn't spotted. So we've got 2511 on that side, and we've got 2510 on that side. So two different sides. But again, if that's a CKD kit, maybe there was a decal, it just didn't get put on. Maybe these ones have rubbed off. I really must go and read Pat Hammond's book and see what it says about these. So maybe next video I'll try and remember to update on it. So this one, I think, is pinpoints. Yeah, so decal away on that one, all flaking off. Yeah, so we've got handrails running down the window on two of them, or not on one, missing on one. So I don't know, variations on these things put together. Maybe they've been apart. These are unboxed, I think. I don't think any of these come out of a box. I think they're all unboxed. Getting in a mess with the couplings again. Bear with me. Yeah, there we go, we're in there. And we'll just get this one on. And I think we'll just finish off with the blue sleeper train and this sleeper train running around the railway. There we go. That took a bit longer than I thought, so let's get the blue one running. Now I'm sure that's going to pick up some pace once it gets underway. There we go. And then let's get the Princess Royal underway. Let's see if they come past each other somewhere around here. Not so easy when they're running in opposite directions. I think we might be in luck though. I can hear the diesel locomotive storming round from my right. There we go. There we put some Dublo on as well. Let's give that one a run round. Noise levels definitely on the rise. Diesel locomotive coming from the right. That just leaves the Duchess here. Definitely noisy now, so I think all four lines running together. And they're definitely all of them picking up some pace now. Definitely the Duchess is flying away. But I think probably that's about it for this time. If you look back again next time, we'll try and have something else from the range to have a look at. Although, possibly not from the range, maybe, because I went to the Heaton Railway Show, Model Railway Show yesterday. I do have some footage, and ideally I'll get some time to knit that together. Goodbye now.